Can a Jew be for Jesus? For thousands of years, Christianity had, we could say, a severe obsession with converting Jews. They tried to do so under the rack. Obviously, there was the auto de fe in the Spanish Inquisition. Spain owned a large territory, and based on their, ideology, you either converted or you maybe they let you out. But for a long time, after they basically kicked the Jews out, everybody had to be Christians, and if they thought some way that you weren't, they would burn you alive. So very, very harsh, evil. I mean, there was Crusaders. They massacred maybe half of Europe's Jews on the way to Israel. Terrible things. So thank God we're in a more enlightened time where we don't believe in, burning people alive or not believing as we do. But be that as it may, the goal, and like we say, the almost obsession with Christianity, with converting Jews, is very strong. Now, to be fair, we must give credit where credit is due. The evangelical movement went away from the Catholic Church's kind of obsession with, and what the Catholic Church did to the Jews is literally unforgivable. Even when it was a question of the Jews of Italy, just the Pope had to say one kind word, and the Germans, who knew what they were doing, which was murdering children, was wrong, they wouldn't have taken the Jews out, but he couldn't even find in his heart to say a good word about the Jews. So the point is that this obsession is, I don't want to go too deep into it, but it's pretty real. However, the evangelical movement, mainly, I guess, started in America, to their very great credit, came up with the concept, which is true, that the Jews are chosen by God. And that choice is not something that man makes, it's something that God makes, and it's just a fact of life. The sun is the sun, and it's bright and it's hot. It's just what God did. And so they say we too can be chosen by God by being godly people, which is true. Now, the thing is that this kind of notion, which is that we have to convert the Jew, has morphed into basically two major movements. The first movement is what was called Jews for Jesus, and that was by a couple of heretics. And again, the Jews have a very profound, even if they're not religious, they have kind of a deep soul, and that soul rejects kind of the notion of Jesus on the basis of idolatry. Basically, they feel that you can't make man into God. So not going into the kind of, theology of it, but that's very real in pretty much every Jew. And so what these basically con men came up with is we're Jews and we're for Jesus. And now there's a second movement, and the second movement is called the Messianics. Messianics basically, and again, many of them are good people, they just don't even know what they're doing. They say, okay, well, we have to really follow the Old Testament. Christianity got it wrong. And basically the only difference between us and the Jews is that the Jews rejected Jesus, we accept Jesus. But a lot of this is actually a con. A lot of it is, many of the members don't know that they're part of a con, but a lot of certainly the leaders do. And that is that it's just another mechanism of drawing Jews to Jesus. And the fact of the matter is that the basic idea of Judaism is that God is not a man, is that God is somebody I used to go to, it was basically a Christian rehab, and we used to do some work there, and one of the individuals asked me, he says, kind of about Jesus being God. So I said, look, God can come into a man, but a man can't become God. And so the point is that certainly we have to recognize the truth. And this is really the truth, the bottom line truth. Bottom line truth is that God made many distinctions. right? The very first thing that God does in the Bible, if you believe in the Bible, is he makes light and darkness. He makes animals and people. He makes trees and birds and bees and all these different things. In other words, the world is meant to be different. We're not meant to be the same. We're meant to have many different people doing different things, and each one of us has a special role. If we didn't have the sun and the moon and the trees and the stars and the gravity, none of this could function. The same thing is in the world. And the basic idea is that the Jews are the light unto the nations. The Jews have an extra amount of commandments, 613 commandments that they have to do. And the Gentiles are civilization itself. They have to be civilized, and therefore they have the 7 Noahide laws. I'll try to put down a link there to Ask Noah. And that is the way that, according to Judaism, which in a certain sense is the most verifiable religion, as the only one that there was a revelation from God, and there was an unbroken tradition of not only the written word, but the oral word, what God told Moses on the mountain, that there are 7 laws for all of humanity. 6 laws were given to Adam and 1 to Noah, and that is not to curse God, not to worship idols, not to commit adultery, not to steal, not to murder, and to create a justice system. And finally, 1 more to Noah, which is not to eat from an animal while it's still living, effectively not to be cruel. So the bottom line is that a Gentile who does that, and he believes that that's part of God's message to humanity, he deserves the world to come. And so this is very, very, very critical to understand, because God wants us all to be who we were meant to be.